This way we have it for posterity and for people who roll in late or have all kinds of God forbids and issues that are going on. Okay, I'm gonna, I can't wait till 10 after. I'm anxious to get going. I know you want to get on with the rest of your day too. So I'm gonna put you on gallery. Oh, I'm gonna put you on full screen. Okie doke. And here we are, and I'm gonna come off full screen because I don't like it that way. All right, so we're back to this. All right, this is the most Mickey Mouse thing we're going to do today. I just want to, and I just don't do things like this usually. This is a graduate class, and I teach, most of the time I teach doctoral classes, which doesn't make them any more mature or less mature than you are. In some sense, it's less mature. But at any rate, I don't take attendance in a doctoral class, and I don't take attendance in the 3 million graduate classes I've taught across my days. But I just want to make sure I've got everybody's name down because I did have a few problems. So let's just go with that and just be patient with me as I walk through this. All right, so I'm going alphabetically. So I see caller Alexander, who I think I know from Downey College. Is caller there? Somebody say, caller, are you there? No caller. I had a feeling. She's from the city too. I'm just taking who's not here. Okay, Michael Camerata. Okay, we're racking them up. Francis Cardenas. Wow. Kimberly Corbell. I think I saw that name. Nope. We're off to a great start. Christine Davison.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Christine Davison works in Belmore. Okay. I think I know somebody who works in that childhood center. I'll try to remember his name in a minute. Okay, we have Callie Gonias. Kelly, did I pronounce it correctly? Callie.
Callie Gonias, yeah.
Callie works in Comstock. I have Adam Goudreau. I think I know Adam, but I don't see him here. Okay, rather Tyler Grease. Wow.
Hi, I'm here.
Where are you?
Here, sorry, I was having technical difficulties. I don't know what was happening.
Go stand in the corner. Yeah. All right, so that was Tyler Grease. Jamie Hannick, we found. Okay. Michelle Kretz. Wow. Stephen Kroll. Wow. Jennifer Mercado. Steve O'Brien, we saw. So he's here. Tom O'Leary is my Jiminy Cricket. Okay. So he's here. Alyssa Passarella was the first person who came on, right? Alyssa, I remember that. Dawn Mason, you know Dawn?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Dawn, I was Dawn's mentor in her doctorate.
Oh, wow.
And I think the world of Dawn. So if you see Dawn, to say Dr. B sends his best. Okay?
I will. I haven't seen her in a really long time, but I'll definitely let her know when I do.
Yeah, please do. She's a great lady.
She is.
Amy Pell. I know other people there too, so I'm like.
I'm here. Sorry, couldn't unmute.
Okay, hi, Amy.
Hi.
And Amy, wait a minute. Don't tell me, Amy. You work in East Hampton. So
Yes.
you live out there, or you are in some place close?
I live in Southampton.
Okay, so
Not too far.
working virtually is good for you. I saw Patricia. Patricia, you don't work in a school district yet?
No, I was DOE and I transferred in October to Huntington.
Oh, good.
But I actually want to go back to DOE.
Oh, why? You and I have to talk.
Yeah,
I want to know all about your DOE experiences.
I was there 10 years. It's very different.
Oh, I'm sure. I really want to talk to you more about that. I have some great personal interest in that. So we'll find each other.
All right.
Lynn Shalley, I've already spoken to, and she worked in, don't tell me, I remember, Cold Spring Hall.
Correct.
Christopher Simetti. Okay. And Susanna Wood, I got somehow turned her into Sean yesterday, but. All right, so there's a lot of people missing. Did I miss anybody's name?
Yeah, you
Uh,
missed me.
Francis, I think I.
No, Teresita Winter.
Yeah, I
Oh,
came in
okay.
late. I apologize. Yeah,
No,
Francis
don't
Cardenas.
apologize.
Was having some technical issues with this whole Zoom.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize, really.
Also,
I'm here.
Denise Roland.
Denise Rowland, another East Hampton lady.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, you're here? Okay. So, okay, those are my
Also-
names.
Tiffany Mendelson.
All right, Tiffany, did I find you later? Or did I skip you?
You never called me?
I never called you because I skipped over.
And me, Gina Tortorici.
Well, Gina, I said I was going to tell you, you and I are related, but we're not.
Oh, right.
All right. But maybe you don't want to admit to it. I mean, that's just part of it, which I wouldn't blame you for. Okie doke. So we are recording, just so you know, I'll say this probably five times more in the next 2 hours. And we won't be going for 2 hours, I don't think, the way I see things shaking out. Is I'm recording this, and what I will do, maybe tonight or certainly tomorrow afternoon. I can't do it in the morning. I will convert this Zoom to a YouTube and put the YouTube up on Blackboard, so that in case you want to refer to something that we did live in class, it'll be there for your as a resource. Also, in case you're late or have a God forbid, and I don't wish any God forbids in anybody, or even just ill or something, you have a flat tire, whichever. You can certainly use this in other words, all of them will be up for you to watch. Okay. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But there's a lot of people who aren't here yet, so I'll worry about that later. Okay, I'm talking to myself some more.
You didn't call my name. Is it just because you already knew I was here, or?
Yeah, I knew you were here.
Okay, I just wanted to check. Thanks.
It was Taibi, you said, right?
Tabi.
Taibi, it's T-A-I-B-I, right?
Yeah, it's an Arabic word and an Italian pronunciation, so it's impossible.
Okay. I get it. All right, so that's great. All right, now, I don't know whether I have the right to assume this. Well, let me bring up the, I posted this yesterday, or maybe, yeah, yesterday, I think, it might have been Saturday, but I didn't, I know I posted it pretty, not too long ago. I usually put what I call a lesson plan up. And all it is it's a lesson plan. So I know what I want to do with you, and you know what it is that we're supposed to be doing together. Most of the time, I never get to the end of the lesson plan because we start yapping at each other, and that's perfectly okay. I kind of like it that way. But at any rate, what I'm going to do now is share the screen, and you have this in Blackboard. So if you want, you can follow along with it in Blackboard. I think I put it in documents, or maybe I put it in content, but it's not necessary because it's on the screen. But I am going to bring it up so that you can see it like so. And I just want to walk you through some of these things. Some of these are what I call Mickey Mouse things, and some of them are not. So this way you have an overview of what I want to take you in the class today. And then we'll get more refined about assignments, which have to be taken care of rather quickly, actually. All right, so forgive me. I don't like to be read to, but I also don't like to read to people either. But I'm going to read at you a little bit here, so just bear with me. This is week 1 of EDL 501. 501 is the Stony Brook denotation for the course. It's a graduate class. It's a graduate class. It's a graduate class. I hate to sound snooty, but I treat it like a graduate class, just so you understand that. And that's why I call it 501. Even though it's through the Teacher Center, sponsored by them, it's a graduate class as far as how I treat it. So that's how the course is going to be run. Here are my goals for tonight. You're going to recognize some of the themes and some of the content and dispositions that are associated with the course. And we'll do that just by listening to each other. And I'll go do that to a large extent through the working our way through the syllabus on Blackboard in a moment. We're going to exchange some dialogue about 21st century leadership challenges near and far. I'll say this again in about 5 minutes, but I will point out to you that all of you have a discussion assignment in 2 weeks. The first discussion assignment is posted in Blackboard for April 6th. All I'm looking from you is for you, and we're going to talk about it in the class tonight, so in case you don't have an answer to it, you'll have some semblance of an answer before you get too deep into tonight. I'm asking for you to identify what you think the short and long-term challenges to school leadership are. And they are a lot, okay? And all I want you to do is just to kind of point out which ones you think that they are and maybe why one thing kind of smacks you between the eyes. Now, that's the one part of it. So you're going to say, I'm looking at Tiffany because she's highest on my picture list here, Tiffany, so I'm not picking on you. So Tiffany says, Dr. B, I think, well, let me ask you, what do you think is the biggest challenge to educational leadership in your future? Unmute.
Okay, I'm sorry. So one of the things that I wrote down was the cultural inclusion of diversity in school environment, and means in multiple, a multitude of ways that we're finding as we went through the pandemic, that there are things that we need to include as far as, family life, different ethnicities, backgrounds, the way that students learn, as well as, the relationships that we have with the community is very important.
That's great. That's a great answer. By the way, there are no wrong answers, but I think there are some answers that are better than others. And the fact that Tiffany picked may likely be, I think it is. I would change the heading over it, Tiffany, but it wouldn't be any different from how you described it. And I would call it the issues of equity and justice. All right, and that's the issue to speak to. And so, without a doubt, that is the issue. Especially that's been pressed forward, I think, by the pandemic. And I have lots of opinions about this. And I don't think you'll all agree with me, but that's perfectly okay. But now let's just scenario this out. So Tiffany apparently has already written this into the discussion assignment. Now, what I would expect, only because Mary catches my eye right now, I would expect Mary. I'm not telling you, Mary, that you must respond to Tiffany. But all of you are going to scan each other's answers. They're all going to be on the discussion board. And you're going to pick one and say, maybe Mary thinks that's not that important. Maybe Mary thinks, Mary, what do you think is the most important issue?
When I was thinking about it, I was thinking about like effective uses of technology in the classroom and like how to teach kids how to use technology in an academic way. Because the way they use technology now is varied.
Haphazard and half-assed.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. So, okay, now, not because I'm picking on Tiffany and Mary, but Tiffany and Mary are in two different places. Now, it doesn't mean Mary thinks Tiffany is silly and doesn't have a great idea, or the other way around, but they have two different points of view. So in a scenario, I would say perhaps Mary would say, Tiffany, I respect your point of view. I see where you're coming from, but don't you think that how we handle technology, blah, 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 blah. And then Tiffany's going to answer. That's all I want. I don't want to have a big, long, dissertation between people, but I want each of you to respond to one other person. Okay? And in this case, you have 2 weeks to do that because this is really 3 because I posted it, I believe, last week. So that's where we begin to have these kinds of conversations. Personally, I very much see Mary's point, especially in terms of the short-term issues of the COVID crisis. However, I tend to think that that diversity issue, that's social justice piece, is tragic, the way things are evolving. People don't even know what's going on. If you get around a little bit, you will know what's going on. And the failure of leadership, both on the policy level and on the building and just district level, to handle those things with any kind of intelligence is mind-boggling. So that's a dialogue. Those are the kinds of things we're going to begin to do. We'll get over to reviewing syllabus. in a moment, and then we'll get into the assignments. The assignments, I think you can see that I don't have anything on the top of my head except skin. Reviewing course assignments, it makes my hair hurt a little bit because I have to group people, and then I have to make sure that they know when their grouping is assigned and so forth. And I get a little bit, I'm a great leader, but not necessarily the greatest manager sometimes. So we're going to get into some of that today because there's 2 assignments, really 4 actually, that I want to make sure everybody understands before we shut down our Zoom tonight. One of them is setting up culture. The culture is king assignment, which is not for the second week, which is April 6th. It's not next week. The second week is April 6th. The third week is April 13th. But on April 13th, you're going to have what I call a culture is king assignment. And I'm going to explain that better in a little bit. It's a fun assignment. It's a nice assignment to be part of. And those are my goals for tonight. If I can get all those goals done, I will feel like I'm an effective professor. And that's a lot. By the way, if you got something to ask, just chat, hit the chat, or just raise your hand, whatever you want to do. So I know you want to interject a question. From time to time, I'll say, "Are there any questions?" But I might forget because I sometimes get carried away with the wisdom of my own voice. In terms of
The chat is disabled, just so you know.
Yeah, I just didn't notice that. And how do I enable that?
I think there's a setting.
All right. So I don't want to think about how to fix that now, but I got to figure that out. I don't know why they would do that.
I have an unrelated question or statement. There's a girl that's supposed to be in this class that I know, and she's messaging me saying she can't get in, saying that she's being blocked and that it's saying only authorized users can enter. I don't really know how to help her.
I had the same issue. That's why I'm 10 minutes late. I had to call the Stony Brook helpline.
Oh,
And
can I tell her that?
Yeah.
Just tell her call the Stony Brook hotline?
Tell her to try to use the Blackboard link.
I took the Blackboard link, copy and pasted it, and emailed it to her just now, and she's saying that it won't let her in.
You have to sign in.
Similar issue. That's why I was so late too. And the way I solved it is it gave you an option to sign in using Google, which I clicked on.
That's what I did. I signed in using Google through the Blackboard link, and it worked.
All right, could you pass that along to her?
Yes, I'm telling her now.
Thank you very much. Now I see caller Alexander. Caller, do I know you, caller?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry that I'm late. I was having the same issue where I could not sign in, so my assistant principal and a few others had to help me sign in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Incognito. That's how I got in.
Caller, do I know you?
You know my name.
Did I have you in Dowling?
No, it's my
I'm thinking
first
of somebody else. All right, okay. Nice to meet you. You don't have to wear the mask here because I'm vaccinated and nobody else is near each other.
I'm in a classroom with other people. That's why I have it on.
Okay, doke. Okay, so you can see what we're doing. I feel badly for the people who are trying to get in. Hopefully, again, this is being recorded, so they'll be able to catch back up that way. And thank you, Patricia, for.
I just want to say, sorry to interrupt, but I did not get in through Blackboard. You sent an email back. I have it here on February 9th, and that's how I got in. So I don't know if you want me to pass that on to people.
What did I give you? I don't remember.
This is from February 9th. It says all weekly meetings beginning March 23rd, June 1st, and it's Stony Brook Zoom.
Yeah, it's probably the same link, and it's just
Same link,
just have to sign in through your Stony Brook email, your Stony Brook account. So everyone knows how to do that.
Oh,
yeah, that's what it was, because it's not authorized outside the Stony Brook accounts.
Oh, yes, that would make
You had to set up a Gmail, your Google account through Stony Brook.
Yeah. Okay, I get it now.
I'm a Disney guy. Most of you don't even know what Jiminy Cricket is.
I love Jiminy Cricket.
Well, Tom is my Jiminy Cricket.
I know.
Tom's going to carry my water for me. Don't go anywhere, Tom. Stay right there. Okay?
All right.
Because I don't like using Blackboard, actually. I'd rather use other.
Me too.
Blackboard. Stony Brook says use Blackboard. All right. So those are the goals. The materials, if you want to know that, is Blackboard, which we're going to talk about. I reserve the right to change Blackboard around or something on Blackboard. I would certainly only do it when you know that I've done it. But I do like to fool around with Blackboard now and then and change some things I don't think are working. But we're going to go look at Blackboard in a moment. We haven't done the leadership theories list yet. We're going to come back to that in a moment. I'm not going, in fact, I just left them in the other room. I just realized that. There are 2 textbooks. We'll talk more about that in a moment. You have a link down here to Shine, Edgar Shine. That's called the Shine YouTube link. It's about 10 minutes long. I'm going to expect that you're going to watch it between now and April 13th, preferably as early as you can, because that'll enable you to do the April 13th assignment, as well as to take a look at the model, which is right beneath it. All right, so that model, which is not big enough. That model is the model about culture that we're going to take care of. Now, here's what the things we're going to do. We're going to meet and greet. We're going to do that as we can because we know people are stumbling in, trying to find their way through the obstructions that the Zoom is set up for you. And I really respect that. I understand that. I feel badly for you. And that's one of the reasons why Tom's going to remind me to record everything so that people can refer to things later on. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm not going to ask you to introduce each of yourselves, even though I would like to be able to do that. Usually I would have each of you tell me a little bit about yourself. But since we're pressed for some time, and there's so many of you, that would probably take up a good chunk of our time. So rather than do it that way, I'll take it upon myself to introduce myself a little bit more specifically. And I would ask that you send me an email, just a couple of sentences. Tell me, where you work, why you're in the program, what your passion is, whatever you want to tell me. I'll be happy to read about, and you'll get an answer from me. You may not get it the moment you send me the email, but you'll get an answer from me as quickly as I can. So I'm pretty busy tomorrow and Thursday, but no later than Friday. You'll have some sort of, I might just say thank you, but I will have read them. Okay, I don't like people writing things to me without getting professional response. So enough said with that. I just wanted to show you the lesson plan. I'm going to unshare that. And now we're going to go back over to sharing the syllabus. I got to find it. Did I lose all of you? Don't tell me I lost you. I can see you, so you're still there someplace. Stop share. All right, now I have to find, I got to start another share. I'm talking to myself. And now I've got to find Blackboard, which means I got to go to Google Chrome, and there is Blackboard. So I'm going to I know what I'm doing. Just give me a minute. Oh, my heavens. I can't believe it. Okay. So now I have that. I got to get syllabus. I mean, you can open syllabus on your Blackboard if you'd like. If you want to follow along with me on that count. But I am going to share it as soon as I figure out where share is on this. Okay, I'm having a meltdown here. Give me a second.
Do you see an option at the bottom that says share screen?
Yeah, I see that, but I don't see. I keep losing the syllabus.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, I think once you have the syllabus up, then you can share it.
Yeah. All right, let's kill this thing because this is my way. All right, so that's done. Now let's go back to Google Chrome. I had it up and I just, here we go. All right. Don't think less of me here. I promise you, I'm pretty good at this stuff once I get my motor running. Okay, I got it up. Now I have to figure out how to get share up. There we go. Okay, not fond of Blackboard. I don't know anybody who is. I don't even think the person who invented Blackboard is fond of Blackboard, but it is what it is. And it has to do a lot of work, so I can see how that would happen. I do most of my business in creating announcements. And then what I do is I usually email the announcement's there. And for example, you can see the first thing that I posted 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually more than that, was the Zoom link so that you could get on and find me at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. And then I did a couple of things to help you with. There's an introductory video that I did. I wasn't totally happy with the video that I did, but I gave you some sort of overview that I hope that you watched. Then when I did some updates to the syllabus, I guess it was last week, I notified you about that. And I had to make an adjustment because I had left Tyler off the case study assignment list, for which I apologize. And I took care of that. And those are the kind of things that I put up on announcements. There's a homepage. Faculty information will come to, let's do that right now before I forget. Okay, in case you need to know who and what I am, I'm besides being old, I've been doing, I've been in education for longer than any of you who have been alive. In fact, we could combine some of your ages and I probably would still be at it in front of you. In one form or another, I've been in education, K through doctorate, pre-K through doctorate, and DOE too, for the lady who was doing DOE things a little bit, for a very long time. And along the way, I've started out as a social studies teacher in a junior high school in Connecticut, and became very proficient at teaching social studies. And somewhere along the way, I decided, well, I think I can be an administrator, which doesn't necessarily follow. Good teachers don't necessarily become good administrators. I hope that you realize that. At any rate, I somewhere along the line began to take leadership courses, got my SBL, School Building Leaders License, which is what you're going for now. I could spend a lot of time on this, but I'm just going to plant an acorn for you with all of you. This goes to every one of you. Presuming that you're here to get your Building Leaders License isn't enough. In my mind, it's kind of silly. If you're here to get your Building Leaders License, it's 6 more credits to get your District Leaders License. And I could tell you a bunch of war stories about that. But you really want your District Leaders License as well, which is really actually 1 more course in school district leadership and another course, another internship. So you really want to do that, okay? At any rate, and I'll talk about that as we move along. One thing I'm going to say that I'm very embarrassed to say, I'm actually wish I didn't have to say it, but I will, because I think you need to hear it if you don't already know it. And that would be that you're going to take this program, you're going to take however many credits it is. I never remember the number of courses that you have to take, plus an internship. And then somewhere along the line, you've got to take, are you ready? A silly test. You got to take a test. You got to take a test. Now, for those of you who are young enough to know that you had to take tests, become certified, bless you, when you're in the various specialties that you have right now, you know that those tests aren't that easy. They used to be like Who Discovered America in 1492 kind of thing, but they're not anymore. And the Building Leaders test is pretty comprehensive and pretty challenging. Now, I will tell you that you're in a good place because Stony Brook has a wonderful record, pass rate, for their students. Students who come through the coursework here, the highest percentage, great percentage of the students pass the test first time through. A couple may have to take it again, but the great majority pass. And what I will do now and then is say to you, this will be on the test. I snort when I say that because I don't like to say that. Now, my friend Tiffany, early on, when I was asking her what she thought the most important challenge of leadership would be in the 21st century, and she mentioned my word, diversity, social justice. As an example, wasn't even on that test until it's going to be on the next test. So there's going to be some essay questions, case study things that you're going to need to do in order for you to address the issues and themes of diversity and social justice that many school districts are lacking, especially on Long Island, particularly on Long Island, which is notorious for this. If you read any of the Newsday articles about segregation on Long Island, it's the second or third worst segregated place in the country. In the country. We haven't got time to dissect that today, but that, those things impact certainly on social justice issues all across the board and from every kind of district. And so you need to learn about that. I'm going to try to get a guest speaker to come in. I think I can get him. I haven't asked him yet. Who will make your socks fall down when he starts to talk to you about diversity and social justice issues. But you need to make it your one of your passions to really learn this material. Not only from whatever professor addresses it, and I will address it in this course, but in every course that should be addressing it as well. And those are the kind of things you need to be aware of when you talk about syllabi and about programs as such. And to come back to my own career, so to speak, I'm out of Queens. You can tell by my accent. So who was it? Steve, who teaches in Manhattan, in Forest Hills, or wherever he was. I always wasn't from Forest Hills. That's where the rich kids lived. But the short story is, I'm out of New York City myself. Became a social studies teacher in Connecticut before any of you were born. Became an administrator, a building administrator, and then I've been just about any position you can think of in a school district, except superintendent. Even that I could say I was a superintendent, but I wasn't officially superintendent. So I left Connecticut as an assistant superintendent for instruction. I've done a lot of consulting, continue to do a lot of consulting with some very, very good people around Long Island and across the country. Lost my train of thought. I taught in Queens College, leadership in Queens College. I taught leadership at Dowling College, was the assistant dean for the School of Education at Dowling College before Dowling College ceased to exist. Went over to St. John's University. I'm still a professor at St. John's, but I'm no longer full-time there, where I was full-time in the doctoral program. No longer am that, and now I'm over here at Stony Brook on the certificate level, hoping that someday they do have a doctoral program here, which you should also talk to me about if you ever have interest in that. I should tell you that Stony Brook and St. John's have a partnership that makes it very affordable and very easy to slide from this program when you're in right into the St. John's program with credits taken off and some discounts too. So it's a pretty good deal. At any rate, a lot of consulting. I've got some books out. I've got a lot of presentations. My passion is leadership now and curriculum excellence. I'm not sure which one comes first. The word I will use with you 10 times, probably every class, is a word no one you have never heard before, and that's called futuring. In my mind, leaders have to be good futurists. If they don't know how to be futuring futurists, then they can't be good leaders. And they need to engage their stakeholders in futuring strategies as well in order to prepare for things like a COVID crisis, which they should have been prepared for. He said smugly. So that's who I am. I care about these things very much, and hope to be able to keep you awake at night a few times to do that. Now, back to the syllabus. There is a syllabus in here, and that's what we're looking at now. You can navigate it pretty well. There's a syllabus. The only other thing, there's three other things I guess you should look at. I do put, there are documents. The only document I put in for this week is an item, and that would be the lesson plan I already showed you today. But I'll be posting documents by the week, so you should check that regularly. Usually I'll tell you that they're there, but you should check even without my telling you to do that. And there are assignments. And you can see there are assignments. And we're going to have to go over these today. I really don't want to because it takes so much time up, but we're going to go over them anyway because you other people have to get them done, and you have to get them done without having any hives about it, for that matter. There's also a discussion board. And you can see there's the first week discussion. And I'll be posting a question every week. I won't be posting one between now and April 6th. This is the one you should have completed by then. And then I'll be reading them and I'll be responding to them. And again, the same thing. I will read them. I may not give you a dissertation response, but I will read them and I will say thank you, or I will say help me understand this some more, and I'll have comments on that. And so those are the things you should take a look at: the discussions, the assignments, and the documents and the announcements. And they'll come up and kind of smack you in the face. So there's no room for misunderstandings as such. So I'm going to go back to the syllabus a little bit more, and then we're going to get our fingernails dirty in the assignments. And you won't understand everything I'm going to say. That's perfectly okay. Don't worry about it. I'm never going to ask you to turn in an assignment in that you don't know how to do. Some of these assignments are a little bit convoluted. They're assignments I have to assign. And so I will walk you through these, and I will make time in this class for you to work with each other as well. Starting tonight, I think. So I'm back on the syllabus. Here's my name spelled with a T. Here's my cell phone number. That's my Stony Brook email address. Those are the meeting dates from March 23rd to June 1st. We're going to meet on Tuesdays from 4 to 6, and that's not that big a deal. Sometimes we'll stop at 5:30. Some days we'll go to 5 to 6, or maybe even shorter. It depends how I see things going. Also, it depends if I've given you, some videos or some readings to do prior to the class. I generally take that off the physical meeting of the class. Just seems to be fair to me to do that. I've given you the Zoom link there, and hopefully people are figuring that out. Okay, as far as my willingness to help you, you have everything except my right arm from me. I will be there for you in any way that you want. Okay, I'll be available before class. I can always stick around if somebody says, can I talk to you after class? Everybody else can get off, and I will stay on, or you can just call me and we can talk the old-fashioned way. We can sometimes set up Zoom forums if we need to do that. I was thinking of doing office hours as well. Right now, I'm not going to do that, but I might do that if I think the people would take advantage of it. Too many times I've set up office hours and not had anybody show up for weeks in a row. So I don't want to do that unless it's people are going to use the time. I'm available by text. Just identify yourself, please. I'm Tom O'Leary. I'm the guy from West Hampton Beach who's your Jiminy Cricket, and I don't understand this, and this. And I'll be happy I will respond as quickly as I can. Okay. I guess around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I would rather not have phone calls. So, however, if you need to call me because there's some kind of emergency, by all means, do what you need to do. But please respect the fact that I want to be in my jammies in bed relatively early. And I'll Zoom with you or video conference with you individually or as a group. So I'm here for you. You never have to worry about that. That's a solemn promise, solemn professional promise. All right. So again, this is an introductory class for educational leadership. It's a theory class, he shouted. And I don't know why I always have to apologize for the fact this is a theory class, but I am. Okay. People say, well, why am I studying this theory? Well, before this class is over tonight, we'll begin to get a better idea in that. So forgive me for telling you what you should think rather than having you figure out what you should think by telling you to think this way. And that would be, theories didn't come, theories didn't just grow, come out of the woodwork. Theories evolved from practice, where theorists found commonality among premises where they lumped together and said, hey, this is a theory. And there are leadership theories out there that you need to know. There are leadership theories that you need to know and then reject. And there are leadership theories that haven't been born yet that you need to develop yourself. I'm smiling again because I hope that you can do that you will want to do that as such. Now, I'm going to come back to this question before the class is over tonight, but again, I don't want you to raise your hand or volunteer. I want you to do this in between your ears individually. Think about the leader, your school leader, or any leader for that matter. Think about any leader whom attracts you or you admire or respect. And tell yourself who that person is and why you admire that person. For me, the guy I worked for who was an assistant superintendent cut his teeth on sharing and empowering each other. He believed, as I did too, but didn't know that I believed it until he told me it. He believed in empowerment. He believed in stakeholder contributions and collaboration. Now, you can talk to any of your leaders tomorrow and say, do you believe in collaboration, Mr. Smith? Well, sure, I believe in collaboration. You know what? Most of them are lying or just telling you what they think you want to hear. Pay attention to that. And we'll come back to that before the class is over as such. So yeah, this is a theory class, and we're going to do sort of like a history of theory all the way up through now. And I guess I should have told you, I guess I should warn you if I haven't already, that this is a two-part course. There's 501 and there's 502. 502 starts right after 501 ends. It ends in the middle of July. And Stephen and I are going to Disney World on July 15th. So that's where I'm going anyway. So we're not going to have a class on July 15th. But the short part of it is that it's a two-part course. So whatever we don't finish theory-wise in the first course, we'll finish in the second. And I'll probably skip a few things along the way. But I'm going to give you the history of educational leadership. And you're going to give it to me too, by way of a couple of assignments. There are two assigned books. I don't like to teach from textbooks. I left them in my other room. I don't feel like getting up and getting them, at least not yet. One book is Stephen Midlock, Case Studies for Educational Leadership, which three of you are going to begin to use in 2 weeks when you present a case study. I forget who I assigned for that, but we'll make sure we get that squared in a minute. So you need that book. Can you use case studies from another book? Can you make up your own case study? Yes, but you must clear it with me. Because that book does a nice job. It is a little dated now. It doesn't do diversity, at least what I think I should do diversity as an example. But it does a nice job of many issues that building level leadership has to contend with, and makes them very complicated sometimes for you to sort out and present to a class. So we'll do that. And what you're going to do is, only because Tom, Steve, and Patricia Rodriguez Mammon are the top three people on my little screen right now. And I don't think any of the three of you are in the same group, but let's pretend that you are. I would say Tom, Steve, and Patricia have to present in 2 weeks. But someone's going to have to present in 2 weeks. So you're going to do a 4 or 5 slide. That's it. I don't want 50 slides, he shouted. 4 or 5 slides about the case. There's questions I'll show you in a minute that you need to answer, and present in about 15 minutes. If you do more than 15 minutes, I'll throw my cyber shoe at you. Okay? But what will happen is, especially once I get on a roll, we'll probably be sometimes playing with that case study the entire 2 hours. I hope not, but that will happen often. So yes, you need that book. The other book you're going to need too, and it's a pretty good book. Copyright Days, I wish it were a little newer, but the one I know of is the latest copyright is 2017. Green's book about practicing the art of leadership, where he does a nice job of explaining theory, the different theories. There are better books than this book. But this book is anybody buy it yet? I'm not sure how much it costs, but there are a lot of the other books are $200 or $300, and you don't need to have a $200 or $300 book. But this book will do it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to assign 3 people, and I figured out how I'm going to do that before the class is over. Tom, don't let me forget that. I'm counting on it, bud. All right. All right. So what you're going to do is 3 of you on April 6th are going to take a chapter and present that theory. 5 slides, a couple of questions. That's it. It does not mean he shouted. It does not mean he shouted. It does not mean that you will have learned everything you needed to know about distributed leadership, let's say, in a 5-slide presentation by 3 of your colleagues. That's insufficient, but it does give you a chance to engage any number of theories. So we'll have 6 to 7 meetings where we can do some good things with that. Now, there are some optional books. Optional is optional. I could give you 100 books for you to choose from, and I'll probably be mentioning many more books as we get through the 2 or 3 months we're going to be together. But there are optional books, and don't think that I put my book first because it's my book. My book comes first because alphabetically my name comes before Bowman. So that book is a pretty good book, actually, and that would be Futures-Based Change Leadership: A Formula for Change. Pretty good book. It's on Kindle. It's only $1 less, I think, than the paperback. And there's a hardcover, which that's too expensive. I'm not telling you to buy the book. I might ask you to buy the book in the second semester, but I'm not telling you to buy the book. But the book has value, especially if you're interested in change. Money back guarantee on that. Especially if you have interest in change, which you should have interest in because that's what leadership should be about in the 21st century. So it's got value. And I didn't put my newest one, which is coming out. I don't know if you can see it. It's coming out 2 weeks. That's called Planning by Futuring. I'll put that in. I'll put this in the syllabus. It's a companion book to the other book, which I don't have in front of me. And they're 2 good books. Okay. I mean, I'll leave it at that. You don't have to buy them. And if you bought them, I would get 75 cents for them because the rest of the money goes to the publisher. It's not like I could go to Tuscany with the money. Bowman and Deal is a great book to have for your professional library. Reframing Organizations. We'll talk about that along the way. Edgar Schein is my poster boy for organizational culture and leadership. Edgar Schein, I think, is 92. Maybe, I guess, maybe older than that now. Great book to have. Now, that book is not, neither is the Bowman and Deal book, by the way. Neither of those 2 books are about educational leadership. They are about leadership and about organizations. Neither one is about school leadership specifically, because you're going to find that most school leadership theory is an extension of previous theory out of business or politics. People tend to forget that. But great value. Both books have great value if you have interest in any of these things. I mean, I'm recommending strongly that you get the books, or I guess you can get a sample of them for that matter, if you use electronic books and so on. A very good book to have, extremely good book, especially for those of you when you do your internships, is Peter Senge. And we're going to talk a lot about Senge up the road. In this case, he's the editor of a book that's called Schools That Learn. And you really want to have that book in your library. I would recommend you get it on Kindle or iBooks or something like that, because they have links in the book that enables you to jump around within it, and it's well worth it. It's a terrific book because the book takes systems, and you will never look at your school the same way once you understand the systems framework we're going to show you. My eye was bothering me last week. I went for an eye checkup, and the doctor said, "What's the matter with your eye?" I said, "I don't know. It's got a little lump under here." And he says, "Well, that's an infected sty." I said, "Okay, what do you do with it?" He said, "No, you got to rinse it out, put drops in, and blah blah blah." He said, "I can't give you an examination because this eye is blurry, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it is blurry. I didn't realize it was because of that." So you think about one of my subsystems is vision. Another subsystem is touch. It's my skeletal system, my nervous system, my circulatory system, all these things you have as well. When any of those subsystems or out of whack, ill, something wrong with them, injured, the hole with a W is affected. If a hangnail, if it's bothering you, and if it distracts you from doing other things, what you would call what you would call that kind of a system, but a hangnail disrupts your whole organism. And Senge comes from the point of view, and he's not the only person, but Senge comes from the point of view that the systems, the subsystems of a school must be integrated, understood, aligned. And most times they're not. A year ago, I said to a superintendent I know upstate, I said, Augie, you're getting ready? He says, for what? I said, Augie, in another month, they're going to close schools down. He says, what are you talking about? I said, Augie, there's an epidemic coming. Yeah, I know. I said, what are you going to do about it? Well, what am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do about it? Augie, what are you going to go? Are you going to go virtual? Because well, not every one of my. It was a very poor school district. It's not every one of my students has a computer. I said, so what does that mean? Well, then there's some who have computers don't have Wi-Fi, or some have to share them with 3 other brothers or sisters or people standing on top of each other. Well, what are you going to do about that, Augie? And he didn't know. And I don't know how many of you are Italian. I'm going to use an Italian word now. What is stunad? Dope. If he was the only dope in New York State, I would say that's one thing. There were a lot of dopes who didn't know what to do when schools were closed because nobody featured for a mass shutdown. Nobody, who was the young lady, Mary, who was talking about the challenges of technology. How many school districts truly, he shouted, how many districts truly had the capacity created for their cult and within their school culture to just routinely switch over to what they should have been switched over to 10 years ago. That's what systems are about. That's a great book to have. I'll give you a ton of other books to read, to look at, but those are the books I'm recommending. You're going to get some articles. I will give them to you. There's the grading policy. Attendance is a thorny issue for me. I mentioned it a couple times. Several of you were polite and professional enough to let me know about some of the issues and problems you have with this. And I respect that totally. So all I can say is I'm going to be as flexible as I know how to be, but I need you here. Okay, and if you're not here, as I said to several of you, you need you to watch the videos. Right now, I mean, I just want to treat you all like adults, and I don't want to say, prove to me you saw the video. I mean, summarize 2 hours of a class. That's, I don't know. I don't want to do that. So all I'm basically saying is, raise your right hand and repeat after me. Yeah, I'll watch the video if I'm not here, Dr. B. And I'll go with that. But I really need to have you here, and your classmates need to have you here to exchange and to interact with each other and to help each other get some of these assignments done. Because a lot of the assignments are not individual assignments. Okay, so now, continuing. I'll stop there. Anybody have any questions so far? Anybody want to leave? Don't leave. Steve is thinking about it, I can tell.
Professor, you had mentioned the subsystems. Can you give an example of a subsystem?
Transportation.
Okay. Thank
In
you.
my school district, they decided to flip the school. They decided to flip the busing schedule around. It was elementary early and elementary late. So it's a long story, but they decided to flip it. You would have thought there was World War III. Because parents had kids in bowling, in Boy Scouts, in religious instruction. Parents had babysitting issues. You wouldn't believe it caused what an uproar. Curriculum is a subsystem. Leadership's a subsystem. Before any of you became school teachers, school professionals, most school districts on Long Island, and I'm assuming the city too, those of you who work in the city, had half-day Ks. So I want to say about 20 years ago, the state gave a lot of money out for bonds to do anything, school construction bonds, and almost, I can't tell you how many school districts that half-day Ks went to build full-day Ks, which means they had to add wings onto their school. So if I add on a wing, what does that mean for my custodial staff? What does that mean for the materials I need to buy? What does it mean for the number of teachers I need to have? What, those are all subsystems, aren't they? What does it mean for my curriculum? I was sitting in a board meeting and a parent raised a hand and said to one of my predecessors, I said, Mr. X, if you're going to go full day K, you're going to change the curriculum in first grade? And he got really huffy with her. He says, there's no need to. And I almost fell on the floor. I said to myself, of course there's a need to. You're changing curriculum, that's a ripple effect right up to 12th grade. So I'm glad you asked the question, because think about the intersection. That's why you may want to look at that Senge book, Tiffany, because that book's got some great stuff in it. And it's not a commercial. You know, my book deals with it pretty well too, I think. So you're going to do a case study. 3 of you are going to do a case study.
Can I ask a question too? I'm sorry,
Of course.
Professor. You mentioned the second course of this, and you mentioned summer dates. Can you
Yes.
just are those set dates, and do you know when they are again specifically?
Email me on that. I'll send it to you tomorrow. I know the last one's on the 15th of July. It's the only one I remember. What day is that?
That's the last meeting, you mean?
That's
Well,
a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, so I guess it's meeting on Thursdays. Well, we can
Yes.
change that.
Okay.
Let me put it to you this way. Now that I know you, and I had this Tuesday date given to me as such. Well, where's my Jiminy Cricket? And I think whoever asked the question can be another Jiminy Cricket. Remind me about that. So we can change the date. I don't care when the date is. I really don't. All right?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just
No,
have
that's fine.
upcoming travel, so.
No,
Thank
that's no
you.
problem at all. And I'm going to Disney World on the 15th. So we're not meeting on the 15th. If it's my anniversary, I'm going. Don't try to stop me. I'm going. All right. All right. So the case studies, the 3 people are going to be presenting in 2 weeks. And here's what they got to do. They got to pick a case study. They got to do a PowerPoint, and they got to answer these questions. And these are right out of the school building leaders license exam. I'm not going to read them to you. There they are. That's an assignment. Now, those same 3 people, in fact, let me look up who they are. You know who you are, but I don't know who you are right at the top. Give me a minute. Okay, so the first people who are going to present, ready? Now stay with me on this. The first people are going to present on the 6th. Are you ready? They are Carla Alexander, Michael Camerata, who I don't know if Michael was here or not. So it's Carla and Michael.
Yeah, that's that's me. I usually go by Chase Camerata, but you could call me Michael or Chase.
Okay.
My parents are crazy and they named me one thing and called me another thing. So that's
No, we
me.
got to talk to them about that. All right, okay. So right now I'll go with Michael, but it's Michael and Carla and one other person, Teresita.
Yep.
So those 3 people are going to huddle up 2 ways. In class today, I hope, if we have the time, okay? They're going to huddle up today, and then they're going to have to talk to each other between now and April 6th. And they're going to come up with a 4 or 5, and I'm not counting the slides. Give me a couple of slides that capture the issue, and then speak to the questions that I pointed out there. Now, that's one assignment. Now, let me give you another assignment. So somebody's going to get highs on this. I would be getting highs if I were you people on it. You ready? Here we go. And my friend from District 75 is in this one, all right? So Tyler, Stephen, and Yennefer presenting their case study on June 1st, the very last day of class. But guess what you're going to do on April 6th? You're going to present chapter 2 from the Midlot book. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give you some time in class right now, I hope. And if not, you need to find a way to email and Zoom with each other, whatever you want to do, just to make sure that you're all in the same place and understand how you want to present with that. So 6 people are responsible for April 6th. And they are, I already forgot, Teresita, Carla, and Chase, okay? They're doing the case study. And then three other people are doing the, what do you call it? The theory, the chapter 2. That's Jennifer, Stephen, and Tyler. So we have 2 presentations each class.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Professor, but just real quick, because I spoke to you where I have soccer, that's why I joined late today. I hate to dictate how class should go, but is there any way that we could have our presentation go after 5?
Sure.
Just so that way I can be a part of it. I definitely
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to. Okay.
Who's talking to me?
This is Tyler. Sorry.
Okay. You know what? Now I'm going to forget that I said sure. But yeah, of course.
Yeah, just because I don't want to
No, it's fine.
bail out on my project at all.
No, of course not. No, that's fine. Just remind me, because I'll
Will do.
It's
I
actually
already forgot what I
helpful.
said yesterday. All right. Was this somebody else?
I have the same problem as well, so.
Same
No,
problem.
I was saying, Tyler, are you chapter 2, right?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, I have the same issue, so that's helpful. We can go later.
All right, so
Good.
that works out. That's fine.
Bad guy.
That's fine. We got that. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to make it work for everybody as such. So so I'm going to talk about some of the other assignments now, but you're going to break out in a rash. So don't get too crazy about any of these things right now. I'm just telling you what they are. Don't worry about when they're due. Somebody wanted the due dates, and I did put the due dates into the assignment section, but they could change it. So don't get crazy, please. I just want you to be comfortable with what we're trying to get done. Everyone's going to do an analysis of their culture in 3 weeks from now, and I won't really try to explain that to you too much yet. What is the culture of your district, of your building? Why do they do the things that they do? What do they really believe in? I did I'm just real quick anecdote. I did my colleagues and I did a what's called collaborative inquiry. We did a collaborative inquiry exercise with a very poor school district. Population is dominant Latino, Hispanic. I'm not sure. Forgive me if I'm not using the right term. I apologize. I'm not trying to be a wise guy. And African American. In fact, for the longest time it was African American, but now it's flipped. Very few white kids as such. Very, very poor place. Very nice people. A very poor place. We began to help them understand what their culture is about. We've been doing this for about a year and a half. The last meeting, it finally came out. And they said, we're hampered by poverty. They never said that before. And we have to prove to other districts that poverty won't stop us from giving our kids what they need. And that gives me a little chill when they said that. That's culture. But in another district, we were doing some of the same things a little further east from where I live. And the teachers all said, you know what this teacher said? These kids don't want to learn. And everybody agreed. That's their culture. What does that say about decision making, in the leadership decision making in a place like that? These kids don't want to learn. That's culture. It's not, it's not what your colors are or what your mascot looks like. Those are artifacts of culture. And I'll talk more about that before the night is over, I hope. So you're going to analyze your culture. Okay, and that's described in the assignment section better. And then you're going to do what's called a problem solution analysis. I don't like that term. I'm sighing because I just don't like the term. That's going to be, I'm going to change that. Don't worry about it. Down lower, you'll see I've changed it, but I'm not going to try to explain it to you today. It's far too complex for you guys to worry about for today. You're going to need to find a journal article and write about it. And that's it. But that's a lot of material. Now, as you get deeper into the syllabus, you'll see this session 1.
Dr. Renata?
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know, we're only seeing the screen that says Google. I don't think we're seeing the same file you're looking at.
You just have to hit the syllabus tab at the top.
Do I have to do that or do you have to do that? So I have my syllabus open.
Oh, we don't see it.
Yeah, all we see is the Google screen. That one, whatever you're clicking now, that's what we see. Not anymore.
Now let's try that again. I wish you had told me sooner. All right, so let me. Share screen. Tell me you see that. Petra says yes.
Yes, that's good.
Okay.
We see it now.
All right, so thank you, Petra. So all you see are the rough ideas of what we're going to do each class. I don't want you for a minute to think, oh, on session 2 we're doing this, this, and this, because I usually change them halfway, but change my mind as soon as we all hang up. But that'll give you some idea of what we're trying to get done for the class. Okay, so I gave you a kind of overview about assignments. I gave you a little bit more information about what's expected in the next 2 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a case study presentation by Caller and Chase and person I can't remember. And 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a chapter 2 presentation by Tyler and 2 other people I can't remember. All right.
Jennifer and Steve.
All right, thank you. And then 3 weeks from now, April 13th, however many weeks that is from now, you're going to do a culture assignment. I'm going to explain that better in a little while before the class is over, I hope. And I will definitely talk more about it at the next meeting on April 6th. So don't get crazed about it. But I will tell you that the weekly lesson plan I showed you when the beginning of the class initiated had 2 things on there about culture. One was a YouTube of Edgar Schein talking about organizational culture, and then a little teeny-weeny diagram. And that diagram you need to kind of tattoo onto your wrist and never forget, because you're going to use that when you walk into your classes tomorrow and start to look at what really goes on culturally. By culturally, I mean the basic beliefs, the secret beliefs that people have, secret assumptions that they have about how their school should operate. I'm thinking of school districts. Some of the school districts are here, by the way. I'll give you a quick, I won't tell you the district. One of my daughters is a speech pathologist in a very large school district. A couple of years ago, I think we were about 15 people in the whole department. They cut half the department down, cut it in half. Not because the kids didn't need the speech and language services. They needed the money to run the football team. Basic assumptions and beliefs. Basic assumptions and beliefs. I know we have a coach here. He may violently disagree with what I'm going to say. I wouldn't blame you either. But there's been a lot of fuss and fury all around Long Island about why we weren't letting kids play sports. Where I live, there was a sign, let the kids play, let the kids play. I could give you lots of ideas, reasons why we shouldn't have been letting kids play. Starting with the S word as in safety. And that was really also about basic beliefs and assumptions. Enough said. So we are done with syllabus for the moment. I'll keep coming back to this, but I just want to get your muscles started so that you're in the right place and you know some of the immediate assignments, not some of the other ones anytime soon. I will revise that assignment sheet so everybody will know when they're doing the chapter 2. You all know when you do the chapter presentations. You all know when your case study presentations are set up. And Tyler asked about when we can run it. That's not a problem. That's no problem whatsoever. I always have plenty of things we can do. He smiled. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing.
sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible to please post the list in announcements or somewhere on Blackboard? I know you sent it in an email. I just can't find it.
The list of people?
Yeah, please.
I thought I could put it up. Email me tomorrow and I'll make sure I'll put it up, right?
It's also in the email. I got an email with it.
Yeah. So you have it already. You should have it already. But if you don't, can't find it, just email me tomorrow. I'll tell you what, I'll give you everything you need to know. But I won't be able to get to you till like late tomorrow afternoon. Okay? Hello? Whoever
Oh, I
else-
said yes, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, it was muted.
no problem. All right. Okay, so we've done syllabus. And let's go back to that lesson plan so I know where I'm supposed to be with that. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'll share this too right now so you can see it. Okay, I'm assuming you can see it. Okay, this lady nods her head. I always need one person in the class to nod, and I don't know who this lady is, but she nods, so I like this. I don't see your name, but I like that you're nodding. So do just nod for me so I know I'm in the right place. Okay, we
Yes,
immediately.
we can see it.
Okay, thank you. We meted and we've greeted. We did that. I did my introductions. We went over Blackboard a little bit. Now we're going to, I'm going to try to put you into breakout rooms. We did syllabus review too. I'll check. We've already done that. I've already talked about assignments. So we've got quite a few things done. Well, I'm kind of happy with that. The other thing we haven't done yet, I want to do this one, breakout room, potential priorities. No, I'll skip that. Well, let me just do this for a moment, just so you have something to begin to think about. I've already given you like a very quick discussion about culture. Culture is why we do what we do. I was in Fisher's Island a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago. Fisher's Island is a little island off the coast of Orient Point, closer to Rhode Island than it is to Long Island. It's the last school district down in New York State, furthest east. I think it's 2 miles square. And what happens, I don't know how many, I'm not sure how many people live on the island, but most of the people, I'm sorry, a chunk of the people who live on Fisher's Island are billionaires, not millionaires, they're billionaires. And they go there to fish and play golf and be billionaires. And then they leave when it gets too cold. The people who live there are the servants, the people who keep the grounds up, paint, maintain everything else, and serve the billionaires. And they're the people who send their kids to Fisher's Island School District. So I got invited out there to do a futuring seminar with them. Just getting there was an adventure all by itself. But before I went there, I sent an email to the staff, and the staff was maybe, I want to say, 30 people, K-12, with 6 kids in the senior class. And I said to them, would you please bring in an artifact that represents your school district? I told them what I thought an artifact was, a memo, a picture, something you think represents really what the school district is all about. So I come in there that day, and one guy walks in, and he's a big, burly looking guy, very athletic looking. And he comes in with a fish claw, a lobster claw. You see my hand, had to be this big. It was bigger than that. It was huge. And he had a photograph of the lobster that was attached to the claw on a leash. Apparently he had caught the lobster off the coast of Fisher's Island. So he goes on to say to me and to the group that he thinks this represents the culture of Fisher's Island. Now you tell me, how would a lobster claw represent a school district?
Maybe fishing's a large part of the culture
Close.
within the community.
Close. Good job. That's Callie, right? I can't get everybody's picture on the screen at one time. I think it's Callie. Did I pronounce your name right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, there are fishermen there, no question about it. Now, if we had more time, I'd play this out with you. But to cut to the chase, it took us 3 hours to figure out why the lobster and the fishing industry had anything to do with the school district. In the end, here's where they came from. Now, I'm giving you some backdrop on this too. It seemed that any student who graduated from Fishers Island High School, some of them would go to college. Some of them would cross over to New London and go to school on the mainland. Almost invariably, they came back. Very few kids graduated from college who went to Fishers Island School District, not because they didn't have the academic strengths, but because they were so accustomed to the culture of Fishers Island that they really didn't particularly feel the need to go anywhere but that. All they really wanted to do was be what their father or mother might be. Cut the grass, cook up the fish, do those kinds of things. So like a Downton Abbey thing, if you can think of it from that corner, if you remember that. And really, when we began to play with it, the school district's personnel began to realize that that's all they felt the need to do to get their kids through high school. Career and technical education was kind of something they thought might be important, but it just was kind of like a sort of a drop in the bucket. College preparation, was again not something they paid a lot of attention to, and so they tempered everything that they did to getting kids through the high school. That was it. Didn't mean it was a wonderful place. It had all kinds of nice things that they did in the community were just beautiful, but the culture of the place was not to have assumed that the students only were going to go to high school. That's about culture. When that woman told me that I told you, or in another district I was in, that the kids here don't want to learn, that's culture. Now, don't answer this question yet. When you put your head on the pillow tonight, this I am serious about. What artifact would you bring in to represent West Hampton Beach High School? Are you going to bring in the mascot? Being a wise ass. Are you going to bring in, the colors? That's fine because look, watch the screen here. Those are artifacts. Those are the tip of the iceberg. Those are the top of the triangle. Those are the observable dimensions of what a culture is about. But they don't mean much unless you understand what the norms and values are, what's important, and if they can't express what they mean by their underlying assumptions about what they believe about themselves and about the students and the community they serve, if they don't know what that is, their culture is on sand and it's shifting every day. And if that's the case or not the case, either way, because it is the case or not the case, how do leaders make decisions if the culture is vague? Made you think. So what you're going to do is in 3 weeks, I may push that assignment back. I just realized something. What you're going to do in 3 weeks is bring in an artifact. Physically bring an artifact, even though we're not in the same classroom. Bring an artifact in. Bring in the lobster claw. Bring in the old, I don't know, whatever you want to bring in. Have a concrete artifact to share with the groups in which I will place you. And then we'll take it from there. Then from that, you'll write the assignment. So the assignment's going to get pushed back a week. I just realized that. Maybe the 4th week, not the 3rd. But don't worry about that for today. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here is culture is king. Because culture is king. Every single student I've ever had, and had a million of them, who've gotten superintendencies all the way down to deans and door catchers in school districts. I always say the same thing to them. If they're moving from one school district to another, or one school to another for that matter, and that would be learn the culture. If you don't learn the culture, then you're not going to survive. Doesn't mean you shouldn't change the culture. It does mean you need to learn the culture. Okay? Enough said. So with that, let's go to this point here. Let me just skip down to this point for a minute. So there's no class next week. If you need to meet with me, just let me know. in April 6th, I'll explain this assignment to you. We're going to do not only the case study presentation by the first 3 people, but also the group presentation of chapter 2 by the other 2 people. But I'll add to that list. But that's the things you can expect in 2 weeks. What I'm going to do now with the remainder of the time, it's 5:30. Let's do this for about 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. Talking to myself for a minute. You know, I think I need to put you in the same breakout rooms as your group. It's going to take me longer because you need to find each other to work on these. I take that back. Only the people in those 2 groups have to talk to each other. I'll figure that out in a second. All right. So I'm just going to put you in random breakout groups. I'm presuming nobody knows anybody unless you're from the same building, so you can chat it up, learn each other a little bit. Why are you here? What does this look like? Is this guy crazy? What, those kinds of things. And I'll jump in and out. What I want you to do is to share out what I said to you earlier. Think of the leader whom you respect the most, okay? And then as you share and exchange those things, someone, or all 3 of you, however many there are going to be, need to figure out which theory it may represent. That's not a great question. I change that. What's the common theme of what you discuss? That's a better way to put it. So if you say, hey, I think Donald Trump is my God, and someone says, no, I think Joe Biden is my God, and someone says, I think my God is Meghan Markle, oof, then you need to figure out what your theme is. I have no idea what your theme would be for that, but think about what you think a theme of leadership seems to be suggested by the conversation that you had. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes, but first what I'm going to do is put you in breakout rooms. In case you've ever done this before, I'm guessing some of you have not, you're going to get an invitation to say yes. You say yes, you go into a breakout room, and then I will come in and out as necessary. So what I need to do now is to put you in breakout rooms. How do I do that? This is not the same as I usually do. Somebody's a Zoom person here, I know it.
You should have it on your like in your options there, like where the share screen and such are. Your breakout room option should be there.
Do you see it there?
No, I don't see it on there. I wouldn't see it. We wouldn't see it either way because you're the presenter.
Oh, I should.
But if your settings are off on the breakout room, if the settings off in your like account settings, because you have to enable it, which maybe that's why your chat's off.
Now
that
chat
could
is
be
on.
why.
I have chat now.
The chat's on. So if you go to your settings, you should be able to also turn on. Now the chat's disabled for us. We can't chat in there. So I think you might need to, yeah, if you go to your Zoom like settings, like your the Zoom account that you're logged into, you should be able to fix your settings there.
I'm not happy right now. Stop security participants. Oh, breakout rooms. Okay, I'm going to assign you. You're going to get. I'm not sure how many people I have here right now, but I'm going to assign you randomly. Okay, so you're going to get a notification to go into whichever room I put you in, and then exchange among yourselves which leaders you admire. Bounce that around a little bit and try to see what pattern or theme begins to emerge about what you think leadership, how leadership appeals to you. Okay, go for it.
The kids get all picked up, then now I'm in my classroom. Yeah.
What school are you at? District?
So I'm in the Three Village School District. I'm at one of the junior highs there. Murphy, RC Murphy Junior High School. I teach math here. Our building's 7, 8, 9, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. I've got 8th and 9th graders.
Oh, you're math like Carla.
Yeah, so another math person. This is my 4th year here, my 5th year teaching. And,
Tyler, I know you. We got hired together.
You look familiar.
Yeah, I teach in Three Village also.
Yeah, I think we were in the same new teacher.
The orientation.
I didn't want to bring something up in case I was completely wrong. I'm not gonna do that. So,
That's funny.
But I was gonna say
Yes.
you look familiar.
Yeah, our district is really big, Three Village, but I'm at the elementary level. I teach ENL.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Do you know
And
Dan?
Village, where is that?
Three Village is in Stony Brook. So it's Stony Brook, Setauket, East Setauket area on the North Shore.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice to know.
Yeah. I don't know if there was anything else. I think I don't know. That's me.
Oh, we have other, Amy and Adam too.
Hey, so
single time. So to me, that just shows also the value that they see, in working with our community members. We also are part of this equity committee. I'm not sure if you're referring to the one through BOCES.
Yeah, they went through that program and they're starting it with us.
So we joined that. We also have a diversity and equity community committee in our district with, I think there's about 16 staff members from across the district. So, I'm interested to see where that goes. That all sounds really great. Hopefully it goes somewhere. That has yet to be determined. But I'm excited, and I just feel like the fact that they're even willing to listen to what someone like me as a school social worker or liaison brings to the table and say, hey, these are some issues that I'm seeing going on, and they're ready to tackle them. I think it's great.
Sorry.
Excuse me, Teresita, how disposed do you think the culture is to a committee that's going to tackle those kinds of issues?
So I think we're all a little weary about it because, we all know how these things can go in a school. I think the staff members are not completely blind and think this is going to go perfectly well. To me, my biggest concern is making sure the stakeholders buy into it, because it's one thing having 16 staff members be part of the committee, but how do we as committee members push this through? We have a social worker, we have a paraprofessional in the committee. So the paraprofessional is not privy to every single meeting. Like I'm not either, when it comes to the superintendent and assistant supes meetings that they have, or the executive sessions that happen in the board committee. So those things, we're kind of like, let's see how this goes. I'm starting to feel like I want the stakeholders to buy into it, and I don't know if we're having that.
Pay attention to that and just try to figure out what that's about. Great point. I'm sorry I cut somebody off. I'm leaving so you can talk to each other without listening to me.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Hello.
Hello.
we were just talking about like communication and how, the way that that leaders present themselves and the expectations, as long as they're clear and they communicate effectively, even importance of like leaders knowing when they're not proficient in something and being able to ask for help and be respectful and how they take the input of others to kind of even help support them, and it's just really important.
Oh, Dr.
You're
Beer.
muted.
Not sure if I quote this properly. Am I hearing not only communication but interpersonal skills?
Yeah.
Human relationships. It's a better word.
Right.
Yeah.
Human relationships, and that's really, if you look at the research, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but when you look at the research, especially, believe it or not, in school districts that are high poverty and have so-called all kinds of issues, the schools that have a high interpersonal relationship variable are the ones that succeed because they can make that communication piece cement themselves. I'll recommend a book about that. That's a nice start. Keep going. I'm going to call you back out in about another 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So. Can you see that? Oh.
Hi,
Hi.
Professor B. We just actually, I was the fifth one to go, and I just finished wrapping up. You just missed all the magic, I think, but we're here.
We can't hear you.
Hang
on, you're muted.
I missed all this profound thinking.
Yeah.
We did find a common theme, though.
So what's the theme?
I took some notes if you want me to recap what some of the things that I heard.
What's the theme? Can you capture the theme?
Kind of what an admin should be, or what we admire in an admin: leaders that invest in their teachers, a united front, principals that support their teachers, correcting and supporting teachers, organization, communicating, trustworthy, bridging gaps, and something that Chase just said that I really liked was a fertile place to grow.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah, it was my first year teaching. I did a career change, and it was daunting and frightening and overwhelming, and it was just really a wholesome growing ground. I got great feedback from the principal. I could go into other teachers' rooms, and it felt comfortable, and I could watch what they were doing, and it was a great place to learn. I'm very grateful for that time now.
Yeah, not everybody's fortunate enough to have that happen, actually. I like that. So you're talking about, I'm putting words in your mouth and taking them out. I'm putting words in your mouth, Chase, but everybody else's as well. I'm hearing about relationships, and here's a fancy word. This is a Dr. B word. Reciprocal engagement. Hey, Jamie's writing that down. She likes that one.
I like that.
Reciprocal engagement. I'm going. I'll be back in a minute. Remember that one, reciprocal engagement. I bring a tea to your eye, that one.
Weekly meetings with the principal, and so it was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit. That sounds like a lot.
I think it's a model that a number of New York City schools have adopted through, I think there's a program called New Visions for Public Schools, and I think it's through that organization.
Gotcha.
actually come up with a lot of social studies. Is anybody here a social studies teacher other than me? I mean, I know they have a lot of good stuff. I use a lot of their curriculum materials on a regular basis. I like a lot of their stuff. So
I teach bilingual ed, so a lot of that stuff I have to rip apart and fix because it assumes that somebody has grown up in this country and gone through the school system until high school. So that I find a challenge with New Visions. There's like a lot of gaps in.
what languages, like where do you teach?
I teach in Comstock High School.
Sorry?
I've also taught.
Okay. So do you have to translate a lot of it to, it's actually funny. I actually live in the Comstock district. I don't teach there, but like live in the
One of the
district.
greatest places to teach.
Yes.
I've been in a few.
What'd you
One of
say?
the greatest places to teach on the planet, in my opinion.
Did you
I've seen a
know?
few districts.
I know, I hear.
Callie, did you know the
I
superintendent?
just noticed that, like, the superintendent, yeah, Dr. Jennifer Quinn, yeah, she's great.
No, the man. who
They're all
preceded-
great, honestly.
The man who preceded her.
What?
I forgot his name. The man who preceded her passed away.
Oh, Rella.
Joe Rella. Man was a saint.
Dr. Rella, yeah, he was amazing. Yeah, God, he was an amazing human being. He used to say that kids are like tomato plants. You got to give them the right nutrients if you want the sweet fruit.
That's systems, by the way.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, really? Yeah, he was great. He used to tell us, don't be afraid to try and fail. I want you to try. And if you pick yourself back up, that's when you're going to learn. He was just fantastic. So nurturing.
Real loss. Sure, I forgot to mention it before. Okay.
Yeah, real loss.
leave it. All right, I'm going to ask everybody to share out in a second.
Dr. Bernardo, I have a question.
Yes.
So we talked, we finished all after our whole discussion in my group. We just I have a question about the case studies and the chapter review. I know you sent out, and I have the dates. I know what date I'm on for the case study review. So my first question is, we get to pick our own case study from the book, but should we just let you know as soon as possible which one we want to do, or we just figure it out that the week before when it's our turn, because we don't want
Soon
to
as
copy
possible
or
is
like,
great.
there's so many. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. As soon as possible would be great.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Also, will
But it's okay if one
considering-
group does case study 5 and another group does case study 5, that's fine too. I don't want people tripping over the same one case study too much, but it's okay.
Okay.
Teresa, you saying something?
Will you be yes, will you be providing contact info for our groups, since we really didn't get to meet during this breakout room? Or how will that happen?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out myself.
Maybe, do you have everyone's?
Just because for me the clock is ticking. I mean, 5 something it's okay, but 4 6 I'm kind of feeling under pressure. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure
I
this
know,
out.
I respect that. I respect that. Yeah, well, is everybody back up? I can't tell if everybody's here. I think
I was just
everybody
gonna
is.
suggest you could, everyone maybe could do it. We could do a discussion board and everyone could post your email or something.
Or you
Oh,
can share a
Amy,
Google
you're
Doc and
so
we could all
good.
edit. You could share a Google Doc and we could all edit the Google Doc.
All right, that's
to
what I'll
our
do.
Google account.
I'll put up a
Well, I
Google.
was just setting one up, Thomas. That's exactly what I
There
thought.
you go.
Mary, you doing a Google Doc for us?
Oh yeah, I'll set that up right now.
That's great.
Do you have everyone's email?
I
I do
have the
not.
emails, but I won't give anybody's email.
All right, so
unless
that's it.
it's
There we
Okay.
go.
All right,
So,
so
yeah, maybe I'll just see if I can add people like from the list. Because does everyone use their Stony
Yeah,
Brook
just do
email?
that.
And it's just your first name and your
Last name.
okay. I'm gonna start adding people. We'll see.
thank you, Mary. Thank you. Teresita's point is well taken. I was trying to figure that out myself. I would have figured it out by tomorrow, Teresita. I promise you.
It's okay.
Okay,
It's
so
okay. It's
who's going to
okay.
share with me now? Who's going to share some of the themes that you thought you heard? I have to tell you, I heard the same theme in every group, which doesn't make it wrong. That's what I heard.
Interesting. Well, I know in my group I worked with that. I'm sorry, Miss Francis. Is that and Teresita, and who else am I missing? And Jean. Yeah, we talked about basically our theme was open communication and transparency, and how our leaders, we respect our leaders that have open communication and willing to listen to different ideas, and but also hopefully with follow through, but also the transparency of giving us information when needed about anything that's going on within our schools or districts. So that was one of our themes.
Communication is a leadership theory. Communication is much more complex than people give it credit for. And so any of you want to follow through on some of that, there's a pretty good description of it in the Midlock book. Oh, the green book. I take that back. In the green book, when you think about it, there is the communicator, there is the communication, and the communicatee. And if they're not all aligned, it's a waste of time. It causes more problems than it's worth. We'll talk some more about that up the road, but so I'm hearing the word communication, but I also think we can probably synthesize that with some other ones. So thanks for your point, Tom. I appreciate it. Anybody else have? Anyone else have? Think they had a theme that popped up?
Our group just.
Jill? Kimberly.
And to what the other had to say. So it was Kathy is her real name because this is her daughter's computer, but I don't remember what her name was. But we talk about effective communication as important for a leader, support and collaboration as was sort of our overlap. But then we decided that the overarching theme that sort of included those things was credibility.
I'm sorry.
And the idea that there has to be buy-in.
You're breaking up, so it's hard to follow you. I hear credibility, I think. Kimberly?
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Kimberly. It's hard to follow you. You look like you're frozen on the screen too. Anybody else want to offer up?
I'm sorry, my internet, I lost my internet connection there for a second.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little yellow.
Can you hear me?
Mm.
All right, we'll let another group member go.
Okay. Jean, did you offer up something? Thanks, Kimberly. I'm going to cut to the chase because I'm watching the time. I heard, and Kimberly verified it, and certainly that came from Tom, and I forget the other person who mentioned the same premise. I'm hearing what I call the C words. Collaboration, new C word for me. I think I heard Kimberly say credibility. It's a new C word for me, if that's the word that she actually used. Collaboration, communication. There are other C words too. Creativity is another one. Now, if you cut across them, just to give you and by the way, you may have noticed I don't give notes. Okay, I notice people were writing things down. By all means, write anything down that occurs to you, but I don't lecture notes for 2 hours. It's just not the way I think adults learn best. But I will tell you, in terms of the evolution of leadership theory, you're very current. Another C word, because the kinds of traits that you're talking about are traits that dominate current leadership theory. Particularly, here's the big word, and there's a big but at the end of this sentence, particularly collaboration. Now, there's a metaphor I use every now and then. I'll close off the class tonight with this. A fairy tale. Some of you will know it. Some of you may never have heard of it. Called The Princess and the Pea. The story was that the princess was lost, and she went to an inn and knocked on the door. And the innkeeper came out and said, and she said to him, I need a place to sleep tonight, and I'm a princess. And the innkeeper said, oh, sure, you're a princess. Come right in, Your Majesty. And he gives her a room, and he piles umpteen mattresses way up high for her to sleep on. And he sticks a pea under the lowest mattress. The next morning she wakes up and she comes in and the innkeeper says, oh, Your Majesty, how did you sleep last night? She says, terrible. Somebody put a pea under my mattress. And he knew she was a princess because she got irritated by the one pea. If you put a grain of sand in an oyster shell, an ulcer will form around the grain of sand in an oyster shell. I saw a couple of science teachers saw this. I know there's at least one science teacher here. What happens to that ulcer in the oyster shell?
Becomes a pearl.
Becomes a pearl. The irritant becomes a pearl. If I put a burr under the saddle of a horse, the horse bucks because the horse is irritated by the burr. So my job is to be the pea under your mattresses tonight by having you answer this question, not now, but between your ears tonight, and I hope that you toss and turn a little bit about this tonight. In terms of collaboration and communication and working together, we think good leaders make that happen. Joe Rella makes that happen, the person who spoke up for Dr. Rella from ComSWOG. If that's all true, to what extent, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 meaning, not at all, to 5 meaning, it is metaphysically certain, whether you agree with this point or not, none of us is as smart as all of us. I'll see you in 2 weeks. None of us is as smart as all of us. Jean's smiling. She's saying, what is he playing with my head for? Princess Jean, think about that. Good night, everybody. It's very nice to meet you all.
Do you mind if I stay on for 1 sec?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Everybody else get off. I have to Christopher.
Same. Beat me to it though. But can I just? I'll email you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye now.
Sorry, Professor. I logged in a little bit late, and obviously you can't go through everything that you went through, the first part of the session, but I just want to make sure that I get all the most important stuff because this is obviously the first meeting, and I don't want to, miss out on anything. So it seems like the Blackboard's going to be the main form of communication for most of the assignments being posted. Okay. Did you take attendance earlier?
I did. I did actually, but I'll do it again. Not to worry about that. I only did because I want to make sure I have an accurate count. I never take.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
So I just cross your.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure. Obviously, because I came in a little bit late there. So any other details, just as far as, I know we don't have a meeting next week, anything for, that I might have missed information wise from earlier in the,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I recorded everything. The course is recorded.
So the recording is now going to be on Blackboard?
It will be, I'm going to convert it to YouTube, and I'm going to post it. What's tomorrow? Wednesday? Tomorrow afternoon, late tomorrow afternoon, the earliest. I won't be able to post it before that.
That's fine. So then I'll just go back and rewatch it, and you'll post the link to the YouTube clip on Blackboard, I guess? It'll be there?
It'll be there.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll go through and watch the whole thing, and that'll be the perfect solution.
Well, that's why I'm doing it that way, because it's, people are coming and going, and I figured that would be the best way to handle it. But you can always still call me or email me. I'll be happy to talk to you as many times as you need to be spoken to.
You'll probably see when you check your phone after the period that I did text you, because I was having serious trouble, because I didn't realize the information for this was sent to my Stony Brook email and not my personal email. So about time I set up my Stony Brook email to get in, because I figured that's where the Zoom link would be, it took me some time. And so in the intermeeting time, I used your number from your syllabus to try to see if I could get the Zoom link that way. But I figured you were probably teaching and not checking it, but I figured it was worth a shot.
Were you 516-946?
So
516-946-5838?
I'm 631-682-9819.
No, I didn't see that number.
Is your cell phone 848-0316?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. It didn't go through.
No, maybe it might be here. I'm not seeing it. Maybe.
All right. Well, as well, I'll just watch the lecture. Watch the stuff I missed, and I'll get all that information.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, if there's something not clear, just feel free to give me a call anytime.
Perfect.
Where do you work, Chris?
I'm a social studies teacher in Manhasset.
I was a social studies teacher too.
Where did you teach?
I taught in Connecticut. I do a lot of presentations. I actually have a social studies simulation website. Remind me to send.
That would be great. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Some good stuff there.
Yeah, it's my passion, social studies. I love it.
Mine too. Okay. Nice
Thanks
to
a
meet
lot.
you, Chris. You're welcome.
Great meeting you. See you next class. Bye.
Bye now.